across the wide and lonesome prairie. Boonville, Missouri, 1847. January 15th, 1847, Friday. Sleet and rain. Ma said that because today is my birthday, I might have 2 slices of chocolate cake. So I did. After supper, she gave me a blue satin ribbon for my braid. Then when Pa went to bed, she let me unwrap another gift. It was a camisole with matching lace petticoat. Since I'm now 13 years of age, Ma said it's proper for me to have pretty underthings. Aunt June agreed. Then she gave me this journal. She said every young lady must have a place to record her private thoughts. I will try to do so. January 20th, 1847, Wednesday. Still raining. Our roof is leaking upstairs over the hallway and in my room by the foot of my bed. I've moved the pot there to catch the drips. I hide this diary under my pillow, but take it out often to look at. I love the smell of its coarse paper, and I've decided to use my new hair ribbon as a bookmark. The blue looks pretty lying across the page. February 2nd, 1847, Tuesday. 3 nights ago, my poor Uncle Milton fell off our roof while he's helping Pa fix a leak. He died right there in the barnyard. There was nothing we could do. His funeral was today, one of the most interesting days in a very long time. It all started when his coffin fell at the side of the hay wagon and slid down the bank into the river. Ma held the horses while Pa went after the coffin through the mud and the weeds. I hurried after Pa, but my skirt caught in the brush. He grabbed the coffin and had his arms around it to haul it up, but just then a St. Louis steamboat rounded the bend with its big paddles churning up the water and making waves higher than Pa's head. He held on tight, but all of a sudden he floated out into those waves like a cork, me and Ma screaming for help. Some folks on the top deck yelled till the captain pulled the whistle long and loud. Pa was being sucked up into those tall white paddles when someone threw him a rope and pulled him aboard, just in time. We watched the coffin go under. Some moments later it popped free, its lid gone, and Uncle Milton too. Where he went, we don't know. But this is how we came to be acquainted with the riverboat captain who felt so sorry for us he said he'd take us anywhere we pleased. No charge. Anywheres? Pa asked, as he stomped the water out of his boots. Yes, sir, he said. Anywhere. This very evening Pa made a shocking announcement. He said because the captain's kindness we can now afford to take a riverboat up to Independence where the Oregon Trail begins. We'll take on board our old wagon and our belongings. We'll buy some mules in that town, and then we'll head west. Just like that. Ma's mouth dropped open, but no words came out. She was so mad I suspect the next funeral will be my Pa's. February 3rd, 1847, Wednesday. Wind blowing through the creaky old house kept me awake most of the night, so here I am in my shawl, looking out the little window by my bed, trying to stay warm. Since my room's in the attic, it stays cold until Ma opens the stair door. My fingers are numb, so I'll write quick. I can hear Ma downstairs frying up bacon and putting coffee on. She did not speak to Paul the rest of yesterday, nor has she this morning, for all I hear is silence after Paul's questions. When Ma gets mad, she stays mad a long time. February 5th, 1847, Friday. 3 days have gone by with Ma only speaking to me, my little brothers, and my Aunt June. Finally, at supper tonight, she looked at Pa and said, Charles Campbell, Oregon is 2,000 miles away. Pa nodded. He seemed so relieved to have Ma talking again. She said, Tell me why, Charles, and I'll tell you yes or no. My, it was a long evening. I took up the plates and set to washing them with Jake. He's 6 and likes to splash the water, but still he's a help. Benny's 2, so he stayed on Ma's knee while she listened to Pa. Pa said he'd been unhappy about so many people settling here in Missouri. It's crowded. Taxes are high and there's swamp fever that kills folks every summer. At the mention of swamp fever, Pa grew quiet. He swallowed hard and then looked at Ma with tears in his eyes. In a soft voice he said her name. Augusta, he said. We'll be able to start a new life where there ain't no sad memories. There's space out west, all the land we want. Free for the taking, winters are mild, that's what these pamphlets say. He held up a booklet called The Immigrant's Guide to Oregon and California by Lanford W. Hastings, and another by the explorers John C. Fremont and Kit Carson. I took my candle upstairs. I'm not sure if Ma said yes or no, but I'm happy to once again hear them whispering together in their room. February 7th, 1847, Sunday. We've given up hope of finding Uncle Milton's body. So today in church, folks took turns walking up to the pulpit to say a few kind words. My friend Becky, she's exactly my age, she sang a hymn so sweet all the ladies dabbed hankies to their cheeks. Afterwards, my Aunt June and Uncle Tim came in a freezing rain and we sat together in front of the fire. I served up coffee and 2 peach pies made from last summer's preserves. My, it was delicious. When they said they wanted to come to Oregon too, well, Mama smiled for the first time in days, for Aunt June is her dear younger sister. It was their brother Milton that died. February 9th, 1847, Tuesday. Word spreads fast in a small town. Everyone's talking about Oregon and California. Becky says she's positively perished from loneliness if I left Boonville, which is where we were born and have lived our whole lives. Please don't go, Hattie, she said. If you leave Missouri, we may never see each other again. I feel sad when Becky talks so. It's pretty much divided down the middle who thinks which is the best place to go. Paul said that since California is like a foreign country and we don't speak Spanish, we best head for Oregon. It's occupied by the British, but at least those folks speak English. Our new president is James Polk. Paul says the only reason he won the election is because he promised to make Oregon and California territories of the United States. So if enough of us get up and go, it'll help push the foreigners aside for good. It's our manifest destiny, according to President Polk. It's our responsibility to spread democracy all the way to the Pacific coast. Ma was at her mending this morning in the window seat where the light is good. I sat on the little stool with the embroidered cushion. When I looked up, I saw that she was crying. What is it, Mama? She lifted the hem of her apron to dry her cheeks. Hattie, I don't care about manifest destiny. The West is wilderness. It'll be a frightfully long journey with no turning back. All our dear friends live in Boonville, and besides, I don't think I can bear to leave behind your sisters. I lay my face on Ma's lap. She was talking about my 4 sweet sisters, 3 older, 1 younger. Last summer, the most horrible summer of our lives, they died one right after the other from swamp fever, and they're buried next to my grandparents under the big walnut tree out back. I'm now the eldest of the Campbell children. I'm 13 years of age, and I'm only afraid of 4 things in the whole world. 1, Indians. 2, copperhead snakes. 3, a toothache. 4, losing my brothers Ben and Jake. They're all I got now. February 18th, 1847, Thursday. Yesterday, Aunt June received another letter from her friend Narcissa Whitman, who went to Oregon 10 years ago. Her husband is Dr. Marcus Whitman, and they founded a mission near Fort Walla Walla to help the Indians. Aunt June had us to tea. Becky, too. She let us girls pour and pass around the scones and butter so she could read the letter aloud. This much I remember. There's tall timber, and soil so rich a farm can grow overnight, it seems. June, you'll see how fair the climate is. If I can cross the Rockies, any lady can. Aunt June folded the letter into her sleeve. She said Narcissa and Elizabeth Spaulding were the first white women to follow all the way to Oregon. They've been hundreds since. Hundreds. We could visit her, maybe even stay a while, since Narcissa's been begging us to come for years. Aunt June is not at all sad to leave Boonville. She thinks everything's an adventure, and I'm writing this in tiny letters so no one can read over my shoulder. She confided to me that the way their brother Milton's coffin went sailing down the Missouri was splendid, the best amusement in months. Aunt June and I think alike. March 4th, 1847, Thursday. 2 weeks of packing and sewing and cooking and repacking. We leave aboard the riverboat Eliza May in 10 days. 10 days. Pa sold our house, our chickens, our 3 horses, and our cow to a neighbor for $65. This plus $800 is what we'll take to Oregon. Having free tickets is what finally gave Pa the courage to say we're going. Every evening we visit with friends or relations for supper and a tearful goodbye. Suddenly I realize how much I shall miss Becky. We've known each other since we were babies, and we walk together down the lane and I get a terrible lump in my throat knowing we'll soon be parted. She's my very best friend. Pa is ready to get going, but Ma's gathering keepsakes from each friend and packets of seeds saved from their gardens. 1 whole trunk is filled with my sister's things. A favorite doll and dress each, baby knits and such, Ma's wedding dress and my grandparents' Bible and wash basin. Pa said, "Are you sure we need all this?" Ma, tight-lipped and teary, said nothing. She just kept on folding quilts and tucking a china dish or a bowl or picture frame between the folds. I'm allowed a small satchel. There is space for a folded dress, leggings, my hairbrush, 2 petticoats, and this and that. My journal will fit in the side pocket with 3 pencils. Aunt Juna said I must record things daily, the good and the bad, because this will be the adventure of my lifetime. Hattie, whether you realize it or not, will be a part of history.